What questions do people ask you when they buy services of threat intelligence? How effective is it?
But I was not on the phone doing personal work.
Okay.
I was tweeting about the event.
Just to keep the audience lively.
I think the big challenge is the definition of what is threat intelligence. I think.
But these commercial feeds which are available, how effective are they?
Yeah, I'm sure. I think it's if you are a medium to large size organization, you have some level of threat intelligence coming in. I think the larger debate here is the lack of
Sharing.
a sharing platform and formal breach disclosure norms within India.
And your views on that?
They should be. It should come in place. I think it's high time. We have this tendency, of course, to have this ostrich head in the sand, where things won't go wrong with us. And if they do, then we won't talk about it. We won't approach law enforcement. I mean, there have been such ridiculous situations where a cop has been hacked and approached me and said, what should I do? And I said, shouldn't you lodge a case in your own police station? And he said, sir, court kacheri ke chakkar kaun katega? This is a police officer in the police station saying that. So there is a huge mindset first that we need to overcome. And I think the CERT, for whatever its constraints are, is trying hard to do it. I think they're there when a call goes to them and organizations reach out to them for help. But I think maybe what Durga ji said, there needs to be maybe a private enterprise or a CIBIL type structure for information sharing, threat intelligence sharing.
Sanjay, do you agree? You need to have a private and a government?
I think that is necessary because public-private partnership is crucial in this. Similarly,
So
it's
you
not
have a
just
private
public
cert and a government cert and they hand in, I mean, how will that work?
It need not necessarily be a cert. It could be an ISAC.
Okay.
Okay, and that ISAC could also be from an academic platform. I mean, so you need to look at different sources. It could be, partnership with private, with academia, with law enforcement, judiciary. I mean, there could be multiple partners, and then you could have different ways of collaborating.
Durga wants to say something. Go ahead.
And the act which Burgess, you have
Louder.
referred, the act which you have referred, I just wanted to, so my feeling about US, and I also stayed there for some time. Any regulation in US is an act. So it's not that we should not be very, seriously thinking about that act. There are so many regulations here which are not act, and people follow that very seriously. So India Act and US Act are totally different. Everything is there is an act, and otherwise people will not accept it.
All right. Roas, your views on this?
No, I agree, definitely there is a need, but it's not ever going to happen. And there are various reasons for it. First of all, if my organization is attacked, I don't want anybody knowing because it reduces my prestige. If I am the CISO of an organization, how do I admit that my organization got hacked? I am responsible, my career comes to an end, so I don't want to tell you. If at all I want to tell, I'll probably share it with a few other CISOs because personally they're good friends of mine. And I understand this is the wrong approach, but is it really going to change? I mean, I don't think we human beings are going to change that fast where we are able to accept such a major issue. So despite all the talk, I feel it's best if CERT-In continues to handle it. I wouldn't really want to trust more private organizations handling such data. I would much rather trust this data with CERT-In or the regulators rather than private bodies. I mean, that's my personal opinion.
Things have changed.
Your perspective, from academic perspective, how can you help?
Well, first of all, I must say that when you have an infectious disease in most countries, you are mandated to, because
I love that we keep on coming back to diseases, there's infectious diseases and there is...
because it becomes a public health problem. That's why it is mandatory to report an infectious disease case, right?
Okay.
Similarly, the gentleman over there said that somebody came to him with an infection, and then it should be mandatory for this person who is doing the triage to actually report it rather than the person who is infected to report it. Because, cybersecurity is becoming like a pandemic right now in various sectors. So we have to take this very, very seriously. And academia can help in many ways, by working with this, ISACs or CERTs. But that has to come from both ways. We cannot do it by ourselves.
So, sir, can you share what type of information you get and actually what do you give back from a certain perspective? Daily, monthly, attacks. Like the last attacks which happened in Mumbai on all the ISP providers on DDoS. Did CERT-In play a very good role in that? Did they play a proactive role?
No, so we do get incidents reported by different organizations, whether financial or ISPs or telecom, etc. Okay, there are certain cases where we immediately fly out teams and start working on. There are some cases where we need not do that specifically, we can do that remotely. But obviously, help is provided as to bring them back from the resilience perspective. Having done that, once the details of the malware or whatever pattern has been done, that is analyzed, malware is analyzed, the pattern is followed. Based on that, advisories are sent out for the others to make sure that they don't fall into something of that sort. So that's the work that we do. Apart from that, the same is fed into sort of drills that we perform, mock drills. Okay, all these, like these days you will say ransomware or these sort of things. We take all these samples, we make mock exercises, we conduct these mock drills so that people understand how do you protect yourself, how do you safeguard yourself, how do you respond, how do you, report, how do you mitigate. So they go through this whole drill exercise, and we're not stopping saying this should be only government organization who should participate or only private. There's a mix of all these. We've carried out these drills, 10 drills till date. And
they happen every year? The drills once a year?
These are twice a year.
Are they sectoral drills or are they across sectors?
They are sectoral as well as across the sectors. And as of date, about 116 organizations have already participated. And they found these drills very, very effective.
Could you give more example from a...
And this is something from, again, a partnership perspective to help them improve their performance in terms of detection, mitigation, etc., and safeguards. So, these sort of things take a lot of effort, time, etc., and we've not seen private organizations or even the academia coming forward to do something of this sort.
You see a lack of that?
Yes.
Go ahead. Would you want to take part in this drill, in the certain drill?
Sure, but I was trying to make another point. There is something called CERT certification in India, which is absolutely problematic. Because recently we heard, we were called into a court case where a company's software was, somebody complained that that software could have been hacked and compromised somebody's exam results. So their only defense that company was making that we are CERT certified, but we found that there could be, they are CERT in certified. I don't know what that means. But if there is something like that, it should be changed because these kind of things is not CERT.
I don't think CERT gives any
We
certification.
don't give any certification and there is
CERT
no
does not
CERT
certify
certification.
anybody. That's a problem. CERT does not
So
certify
I don't know
anybody.
where this is coming from. So this probably is a case I should take and report into as an FIR.
You should report this case also. Go ahead, Cassie, you're saying something.
No, I was just saying because I have never heard CERT certifying anything.
Durga, you're
so-
saying something?
I was just telling, I must tell something which is my experience. Sanjay, don't take it otherwise. Before this incident, I was thinking probably SOT is not that very efficient. We had some problem to our web presence. We saw it for 5 minutes. We shut down our system. We thought that we have taken care of, we will not tell anybody. Next day I get a mail from the SOT in that you had a site, your site got defaced. So please inform us why happened, what happened. Then I realized that these people are really working now.
So you're saying proactively they were able to monitor.
they are
Durga,
not
so it's a compliment to you. He had an attack and he saw you guys were on the job and you helped him on that.
Only for 5 minutes. So we thought that we closed the site and we are very happy we didn't inform anybody and we took care of everything. Next day I get a mail from the
Roaz, you're smiling.
and then something happened to your site, please inform us, please give.
Roaz, go ahead.
So I actually realized that yes, SOT is working.
So how do you monitor someone when he gets impacted and shuts back? What is your mechanism to monitor that? Is it word of mouth? Is it sharing intelligence or is it...
No, it is also sharing intelligence because some of these cases we also work with various other certs across the globe and we do get information from other certs.
It's a good question. How much does the Australian and the US and the UK cert share with you?
A lot of sharing has recently started. Okay, initially obviously there are issues and challenges of trust building. So basically CERT is a trusted organization across the globe. And that is the reason why people are very clear that yes, they should work with CERT. Now there are different CERT models. There are some which are government certs, there are some which are private certs in some countries. So obviously when there are private certs, there is a little bit of a challenge from a trust perspective. So when you're looking at government certs, it's a much more trusted entity. So in any cert or in any organization or any of these sort of collaboration, cooperation, what do you need? Even look at it from your organization perspective. You need communication. You need that culture. You need teamwork. You need trust, accountability, and foresight. If you have all these things, there will be no problem. But if you do not have these basics in place, there will be a challenge. And in the search, we do look at all these things together, and you have a traffic light protocol in terms of when information is shared, whether this is red, whether this is green, whether it is amber, or whether it's white, etc. So depending on that, you share with different organizations or you keep with yourself and you know what is happening.
So we all agree that information should be shared. How do we get that to happen more? We know it's agreed, we know it's mandatory, obligatory, go to jail, don't go to jail, whatever. How can we actually influence it? What is your ask of the community to say, this is how you get about it?
The first thing, as I said, trust and communication. These are two things. Then based on that, there are different ways of, after that is delivery mechanism. That delivery mechanism could be face-to-face meetings, it could be communication through electronic medium, it could be blogs, it could be setting up ISACs, it could be, then there are different delivery mechanisms. First thing is, let's start communicating, let's not hide things under the carpet, and secondly, let's trust each other. On this, as I said, there are different skills required, no one has all the skills, and until we collaborate, we cannot fight this menace.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I think that there has to be a carrot and stick approach. The only
Carrot and stick approach, okay?
Only cannot do stick like threatening jail sentence or something. You have to also have some incentive. Obviously, the incentive is that you get information back, and this information is useful and actionable, right? So CERT has to, or CERT or ISAC has to provide actionable intelligence, not just some information, data. So data has to be distilled into knowledge. So that and then sent to the companies.
So does that happen, Sanjay?
What we are sharing with different organizations and sometimes targeted organizations, it is actionable intelligence.
Casey?
Yeah, I think there is a lot of gap in, like he said, I don't know whether there is a registry with you of how many companies have actually, you need to register with the CERT, right, as a tool, because you have the IDs and also if you're reporting. So if you get, how many people have you made this so that at least they get some login IDs for the certs, at least to report and all. If that can be made as a rule or some sort of a protocol, it will be helpful. We can also push from the exchanges, or at least all the listed companies who are there, at least they know they have to call up cert or they can get registered.
Saying, why don't you go to the BSC listed foreign companies and say, here's a phone number, here's an email address, thou shall report.
Definitely we can do that. That's not because we have a huge database anyway. We can do that, but there is an RBI guideline anyway saying that if you've read the recent guidelines which have come out by RBI, it says that you have to report to RBI and you also have to report to
No, Sanjay, here you are talking only banks. What I am talking is, we are talking about the listed companies.
Agreed.
So right now,
only thing is how it is going to helpful. If you see the
here
all the attack after that, what happened? Every time when a mail sent, nobody is available to respond. And when account is debited, nobody able to see the thing, account is debited. So the thing is, you have to see now even sharing the information, how it is going to impact the organization going to take an action. Suppose earlier days, you switch off the machines, business hours is over, switch off the machine, everything switch off it and go. Now it is because of the customer demand, and you need to operate entire day, 24 into day, all the days. But only you operate it, but the monitoring is not happening. So the sharing happens, and along with the proactive monitoring also have to be extended. Then only if somebody responds, somebody sends, and the information can be immediately used for the preventive measures.
So I just,
go ahead.
you might have seen,
Louder.
you might have, definitely all of you are a LinkedIn member. If you go to LinkedIn, every time you will get that, become a premium member of the LinkedIn. So you will know how many recruiters have seen it, who has seen it, what is his profile, how much time it takes to see it. The same thing happens in IJAC. IJAC has different kind of membership, silver member, gold member, diamond member. It all depends on how much price you pay to the IJAC. You pay the highest price, you will know everything about that threat. You will definitely not know that threat happened where. That is a private information that is not given irrespective of your membership. But what I am trying to tell is, while SOT has a different kind of role, SOT will do roadshow and raise the awareness of sharing information. But at the same time, there has to be a framework for sharing information, and government should give incentive to the private sector to start establishing sectoral hijacks. And definitely if it is in the private sector, nobody will do charity. And then whenever things are not on charity, efficiency will increase.
Okay, Ross, any closing from each one of you? 30 seconds before I summarize. I'm conscious of time. 30 seconds starting from Ross.
Yeah, I'd like to conclude that I think it's the regulators as well as the CERT which must be holding this kind of data. I would be very uncomfortable giving such data to a private for-profit body, because then they would like to hype it more and try to create more of a scare, because that's ultimately how they're going to make money. So although it may be working very well in the American context, I think in a country like India, the regulators and CERT is the ideal way to go forward.
Okay, Durgaji.
Making money and generating wealth for the country is not a sin. And
Sorry, making money is not a sin.
making money and generating wealth for the nation is not a sin.
Okay.
And I strongly feel that the role of SOT, role of regulator should not be prescriptive. There should be an overarching role, doing awareness, doing governance, but the work of doing this, it may not be private sector. I am not talking, I spent 22 years of my career in government sector. So I have equal respect for both private and public sector. So you can have a public-private partnership, but the role of SOTIN and the regulator should not be very much prescriptive. Any prescriptive regulator will ultimately fail.
I like that. Any prescriptive regulator will ultimately fail. Strong words. Good. Yeah, Cassie.
Yeah, I will just keep it simple as because this security is so vast, and like it was first said that no one individual has knowledge of everything. So rather than complicating, can I share, can I not share, I don't see any harm in sharing as long as it solves my problem. Because talking about reputation is, people's memory is very short. Today you read news, 2 days later, 5 days, some news will come and you are wiped out the news market.
Somebody else gets hacked.
So at least start sharing, at least with the right regulatory bodies, and ensure that you are helped by sharing. As long as I am getting helped by sharing my information, I have no hesitation in sharing it.
Yes.
So, the only thing I would like to say is cooperation and collaboration is necessary. It's you can see it at different levels within the country, across countries. So it's bilaterals, multilaterals, with the academia, different governments, okay, within the private organizations, within the government departments, but also the users have to play a very important role. So it is not that the users just sit behind and say someone else should do the sharing and then let me get the benefit.
And by users, you mean the companies here?
Companies as well as the individuals.
Okay. Yes, sir. Individuals. Yeah, go ahead. It's live.
Yeah, I think we need more sectorial ISACs, and somebody has to take leadership, but make it very, very broad-based. So, for example, in finance, BSE could be take the initiative and
Casey, work for you.
bring a lot of the financial companies, and so that they feel a stake in it, and then there will be more sharing happening, and they should also bring in like other government and academia as well in that. But I think that it has to be broad-based and voluntarily.
Go ahead. Casey wants to respond to that. Before
See, I think this morning we have announced a sort of a JV that we are, it's a more of an MOU we have signed with IIT Kanpur, where the philosophy is at least whatever we can learn and collaborate and get, whether we can involve academia, we can industry professionals, we can govern bodies. See, this whole thing is a learning game. So there is no master of ceremony in this field. Let me put it that way. So if we can think of an MOU to do, and that is the basic purpose with which we have signed that MOU, because we want to create a center of excellence. So it is not one excellent person, it's a center where we have collective wisdom coming in and we can give back to the country a safe, secure place.
Sure.
Yeah, I think I am given an opportunity to consolidate all of them given their views. And so even for us, it's an NPCI, it's an example for to how the partnership between the private, public, foreign entities. We are already, you know that our shareholding pattern is how all entities are combined together. And it is for a not for profit entity, it's an autonomous body. And I borrow from morning that Mr. Bakshi and this Mr. Birjay Singh also, they were proposing that they wanted to create an autonomous body with a corporate kind of a structure. And if you create it, and it should be a self-sustainable. What is the problem which finding? It is not an issue of certain is collecting information. They will have rules and regulations, they can collect it. But retain talent and creating the lot of services and providing better services to the industry need to have an autonomous body kind of thing. So maybe that kind of structure it will create a lot of confidence with the all kind of the industries, and to share, and even the corporate structure will help the services to be and delivered and efficiently manner. And if you make it a profitable entity, then that goes a different kind of the mode, and the whatever profit comes, it should be also put it into its own development. And that structure, I think, could be an ideal for to just succeed and collecting and servicing to the country.
So, thank you for summarizing. On a lighter note, we have a big cyber map out here, mind map, which just shows how the discussion went from where to where. I'll just read out a few of those lighter comments. Any prescriptive regulator will ultimately fail. Ensure you are helped by sharing KC. Need more sectoral certs. No master of ceremonies required. Then we had no charity. Efficiency improves when there is cost involved. Durgaji mentioned making money and generating wealth is not a sin. You gave a good example of ISAC linked to premium membership in LinkedIn. You said use cement and stick, use carrot and stick, not only carrot. Cert model is different. Private certs may have a trust issue, you said that, sir. Trust and communication are the main things. Don't hide things under the carpet. Then there was IB card patterns. Any regulation in the US is an act, so don't have to go blindly with that. No to private, yes to certain is what Rojas mentioned. Reporting of infectious diseases is mandatory, so I keep on wondering why we came to that. Cyber security is becoming a pandemic, you mentioned that. I agree with you but not with you when there were different opinions. Situational awareness and how many machines are infected in Mumbai can be done. Not well formatted mails, ISAC, you had a complaint on that. FS ISAC is private, it may not work in India. We started with reporting to fire brigade and how you take that, and telling a neighbor that someone knocked my door in the middle of the night. So with that light approach, we had this lovely, amazing, lively discussion. Thank you very much, panel. Thank you, audience. Hope you enjoyed.
Thank you.
Yeah, sure. With the word on us.
I'll just ask Nehal to present. Thank you. Thank you so much. I'd now like to request Shri Nehal Vora, Chief Regulatory Officer, BSE, to present mementos to our panelists. Dr. Sanjay Behel, Director General, Indian Computer Emergency Response Team, or CERT-IN. Shri Durga Prasad Dubey, Senior Vice President, Reliance Industries. Shri Kirsi Tavaria, CIO, BSE. Dr. Rajendran N., CIO, National Payments Corporation of India. Shri Rohas Nagpal, Founder, Asian School of Cyber Laws. Professor Sandeep Shukla, IIT Kanpur. And Shri Burgess Cooper, Partner, Cybersecurity, EY. protecting financial data against targeted cyber attacks. Let me invite our panelists to the dais. Ms. Asha Lata Govind, Chief Information Security Officer, State Bank of India. Shri K. Mukhi, Director, NII Consulting. Shri Manish Tiwari, CISO, Microsoft. Shri Shiv Kumar Pandey, CISO, BSE. Shri V. Kumanan, CISO, IDFC Bank. Shri Venkatesh Murthy, Senior Manager, Cyber Forensics, Data Security Council of India. And our moderator, Shri Karthik Shinde, Partner, Cyber Security, EY.
Thank you and good afternoon. I think we skipped a tea break, but I'm sure this session is going to keep you well charged up. So the topic for today's discussion is cyber resilience. And I'll set a quick context before I go down to our distinguished panelists and take in their views in terms of what do they think around various areas of cyber resilience. So as you all know, it's in today's scenario, and you've heard quite a lot since morning, that cyber attacks are evolving, they're going to happen, it's inevitable. So it's not a matter of if, but when a cyber attack is going to happen within your organization. So all the measures that we've been taking in today in terms of putting all the solutions, be it firewalls, IDSs, and now your latest anti-APT solutions, etc. How do you still be or become resilient by way of saying the attacks will happen, but how do I get back into the business? How do I ensure that the business keeps running and doesn't affect the day-to-day operations? So I would like to open up the panel for discussion, and Shiv, I'm going to come to you first. If you could tell us and give us your views on what have you seen and heard about cyber attacks that are happening, the latest ones, and if you can get some more insights on that area.
Hello. I mean, nowadays, the latest cyber attacks is like an APTs, ransomwares, DDoS. These are the latest, most common attacks right now happening, especially on the critical infrastructures, distributed denial of services, advanced persistent threat, and ransomware. And these attacks will keep on happening. So now we need to think about how to mitigate these kind of attacks, especially. So it's not only about the technology, you need to be ready with the complete cyber resilience program on this, like your cyber security and plus BCP all together. And you need to, I think I can say if there's 5 pillars, like you need to prepare, protect, detect, respond, and recover. So you need to think from the end to end. And that's what I can say.
Sure, thanks Shiv. I would like to move on to Ashalata ma'am, and while taking a cue from what Shiv said in terms of the cyber attacks and the latest trends that are happening, would love to hear your views in terms of from a banking perspective. what are the measures that banks have taken, the regulators have taken in this space, and would want to know your specific views and inputs that you've been giving all these years as well.
Thank you. Let me first thank the BSc for giving this opportunity to be in this wonderful room. I never thought that I'll be sitting in this room where historic stock trading has happened. To come back to the discussion here, let me talk about the life of a CISO earlier and now. Till about 3 years back, it was okay. I mean, CISO was there, and you put so many technological things around you, and you are reasonably confident that you have protected your infrastructure. Because it was all about protecting the infrastructure. Now the world has moved on, and banks have also moved into digital world. As far as SBI is concerned, we have now declared ourselves as the digital bankers to the nation also. So, as digitalization increased, the surface area which we need to protect has also increased. So, it is no longer about protecting your infrastructure as you know it, it is about protecting your digital space also. And again, I will come back to the technology which will help you prevent a lot of things. Like Shivkumar was mentioning about the DDoS attack and malware attack, virus attack which have been happening. Now the key theme now is, it is not whether you will be attacked, that is taken for granted, but when you will be attacked. So you should be prepared to bounce back, and that is what resilience is all about, how quickly you come back. And now the regulators have also come out with guidelines specifically on cyber security, and they have said that information security policy you may be having, but cyber security policy has to be distinct one. And they are also talking about cyber crisis management plan. So their cyber crisis management plan, again, it's assuming that you might have a cyber crisis, how you face it, how you come back on that. So the plan will have the standard operating procedures have to be incorporated. You have to imagine all kinds of scenarios which you may come across, and have a detailed planning how your the cyber crisis management team would react to that and come back fast. And it is not only the technology, it is the people who are the most important target here, because it's the people who commit unknowingly certain mistakes which will cause it. So the employees' awareness and all the more important, the customer awareness are equally important. Thank you.
Excellent. So I would just like to move to Manish. Manish, ma'am talked about the RBI cybersecurity policy. What are your thoughts on some of the inputs that I think both of you have contributed to, and if you could throw some light on that?
Absolutely. I think it was a very collaborative effort. So one is that the actual policy that came out from RBI was released by the RBI governor in June. The policy that I am referring to has been is a prescriptive and objective baseline defined by IDRBT, and complements the policy issued by RBI earlier. And this has been released by the governor on 18th of July. A copy of this document is available on the IDRBT website. I would strongly recommend that all folks who are here have a look at it, because it's a very objective and prescriptive document. The important thing is that it was a contributory effort based on contributions made by the representative, that is 3 CISOs from the banking sector. We had representation from the academia. We had representation from CDAC. We also had research scientists from IDRBT contributing to it. And I represented Microsoft more from an OEM, because as everybody is aware that a very large, most of the companies use this particular technology in a very big way. Having said so, it's not about a particular OEM. I think it was all about how to set the minimum baseline, primarily for the financial sector, and that predominantly for the banking sector, where they would have to at least come up to this baseline and meet this in the fastest possible way.
Manish, I'm very curious to know, before this decision was taken, was there some kind of trend analysis done in terms of saying, let's look at all the banks and looking at maturity levels of their cybersecurity preparedness or their SOC infrastructures and things like that? So was there some kind of study done,
Yes.
and hence it resulted?
I'll share this with you, that I'm sure everybody is aware that there is an yearly event known as Gyan Sangam, central bankers. It's driven primarily by the SBI for the PSU banks and the financial regulator, that is the RBI, and has a very active participation from CAFRAL as well as IDRBT. So I was very privileged to deliver a fairly extensive session on IT risk management for the central bankers and the RBI team. And one of the questions that emerged was, we've done everything that is required of us. And I think if there is any sector which is sensitive to security requirements and concerns, it's the financial sector. And yet, the financial sector continues to be one of the most targeted and the most impacted. So what is it that needs to be done? So it was very evident that cybersecurity is the topmost concern for the financial sector. And it was very clear that something needs to be done on an urgent basis. And what needed to be done was primarily where the RBI would come up with a policy, which would be obviously a little descriptive, and IDRBT would work with multiple stakeholders in a public-private partnership model to come up with a very objective and prescriptive set of guidelines, which is the background to this particular effort. It was done in a record 4 or 5 months' time. And whilst there was a core committee formed by IDRBT, IDRBT was conscientious of the fact that inputs needed to be taken, and which was our collective advice as well, that we need to take inputs of folks and experts even beyond this. So which was done, and it's come up in its first form. So it's a work in progress. It will have to evolve even further. It will need to mature further. But I think it's a good effort to at least define a baseline. So that's the historical background to this entire effort. All started with Gyan Sangam and the concerns around cybersecurity.
Perfect. While we are all disciplined and going in order, I would encourage, if anyone has views on a particular, please do feel free to jump in. But taking a cue from on the banking that you mentioned around the cybersecurity policy, there is a new area that's coming up around small finance banks and payment banks and the new banks. So since we have Mr. Kumanan here, CISO at IDFC Bank, sir, I would just like to take your views on how do you perceive, because you've built the bank from scratch, right? And you had the opportunity to build security by design, which we all dream of. So would love to hear in terms of how did you manage to do that?
So before talking about my experience, let me actually take you to this word resilience. Resilience is something which you cannot create today, demolish tomorrow. It should be part of your blood, it should be part of your culture. Being a new bank, I think we had huge advantage in terms of not just creating business, we had this advantage in terms of creating culture, we had advantage in terms of creating even technologies. Yes, we had got this universal banking license. So we said we are going to be a mass retail bank. We are going to have Bharat Bank, retail bank, corporate bank. We are going to be spread across the country, serving the nation. So there were huge dreams. And because we are a new bank, we said we are going to leverage technology to the fullest. So we are going to be a uh, very high-end digital bank. So as part of the information security group, we were clear, whatever be it, we have to be a secure bank. That was very clear in our minds. So the way to do it is basically people process technology. Very easily said. Doing it is very different. Technology part was very easy. We had identified what should be the framework. We had implemented various technologies. Coming to people, process was also fine. Coming to people, all said and done, our people were all from other banks. And it's very natural for each and every one of us to say always, kitna deti hai? In software terms, it is like, is the functionality okay? No one asks, is cyber security okay? Or no one asks, is the brakes are working, right? So we had to actually bring in this culture right from start to say that we will do various testing, be it software testing, vulnerability assessment, device configurations. If all the tests are not passing, we will not be able to put this particular application for production. We had to be a little strong upfront, and it has over a period of time actually helped us build a very good architecture and a very good setup in our environment. I think it's a good building block that we have created so far, and it will go a long way for the bank to succeed.
Sure. Thanks. KK, you are the next in line. And, while Kumanan sir talked about, strengthening the controls, putting up a robust information security structure within the organization, I think being resilient also means, when you're bound to get attacked, how do you detect and respond faster? So, completely from a different, the SME segment, which is also quite heavily targeted these days, would love to hear your views, on that front.
Sure. So, as a service provider, we deal with organizations across the spectrum. So, for many of the organizations on the panel here, IDFC Bank, BSC, so on and so forth, where you have probably crores of budgets for just information security or cyber security. Compared to that, a small medium business probably doesn't even have a budget to begin with. So I think the things that we recommend our small medium SME customers to look at is first that they should aggressively, I would say, start exploring cloud computing. As a small medium enterprise ourselves, we adopted Google Apps and Microsoft Office 365, both in fact for one of our companies runs on Google Apps and one runs on Office 365. So I'm not going to do a comparison of which one is better. But we've had some fantastic benefits from it for a price of I think around $4,000 a year per person. We've got complete MS Office compliance, we've got antivirus in the cloud, we've got malware protection. Not just at the antivirus level, spam protection, 50 GB of space, I mean, the benefits are fantastic. And we see small, medium businesses hesitating. They're not ready to adopt the cloud yet. Going forward, even I think there are some representatives from Indian service providers here like NetMagic. And you'll find that their offerings are on par with many of the international service providers. So whatever you can imagine WAF in the cloud, you'll get it. You imagine DDoS protection in the cloud as a service, you'll get it. So I think cloud computing is something which I would very strongly recommend that small, medium businesses look at. It gives you a lower cost for failure, and be prepared to fail, because that's what resilience is about. You should embrace the fact that you should be able to fail fast and still recover. And I think the other aspect is common sense, but again, small businesses ignore this until they get hit, which is backups. Most people that you speak to will say, what data do I have on my system? It's only when you don't have access to your kids' photographs that you will really regret not taking backups. And I've seen the pain that people go through when they lose access to their most beloved data. So don't think that nobody cares about your data. They may not, but they're still going to ask you for the $200 ransom to unlock the data for you. So unless you've got backups and stuff like that, that's a problem. The other aspect I want to talk about is awareness. Now, I don't know how, and I address this to small, medium businesses over here. I don't know how many of you know whether you've given your banks the mandate to do email transactions. So when we sign up for a banking account, of the hundreds of signatures that you and I do, we also sign a form called email and fax indemnity, which allows the bank to do a transaction if they receive an email from one of us. And if they receive an email from somebody in your accounts department which says that, you know what, transfer funds to so-and-so person because my boss is stuck, that's a $2.5 billion per year scam now called business email communication fraud. So go talk to your banks, go find out whether you've given them that indemnity and take it back. We did that. We had to put in efforts to do that. We wrote a letter, we took the bank manager's approval on it, and we said, you will not accept instructions on email from us. And the other thing, I think even small organizations should run, I think it's a fancy term, cyber drill, but they should test. People here, you might be aware of security, but I don't know if the guy who's in your accounts department who actually takes the invoices and issues the fund transfer instructions, he is aware of security and he's not going to click on a link, and he or she is going to be aware of what to do and what not to do. So there are free services actually where you can inculcate security awareness throughout your organization. You are welcome to pay me and conduct a spear phishing exercise, and we would be happy to do that for you.
Or me.
Yeah, of course, or Karthik. But, there are also other companies that are providing it for free as a service. All you've got to do is search on Google. Since we decided not to take up any vendor names, I won't list the vendors. But there are such companies that provide all of these services for free. So I think small, medium businesses should look at what's their worst risk, which is that for us, a single fraud can shut down our business. Banks can take hundreds of crores of frauds. We cannot. A single fraud, even a few crores, means I'm out of business. So what do I need to do to make sure that even if somebody tries to do that sort of a fraud on me, I'm still protected, right? So we got to think brass tacks.
Just taking that point ahead, I think one question which, every CISO is asked is, what is your ROI? Yeah? And what is your return on investment in security? Because there are huge spends that are done in terms of procuring tools, expensive solutions, and Shiv talked about APT. It's not a medium-sized or cheap solution. It's an expensive complex technology. So and when it comes to resilience, and when we coin this word and do an internal selling within the organization that we need to build more resilience. The first question that is asked is, how do you monitor resilience? What are the KPIs for resilience? And I open this question to any one of you. Any thoughts on that in terms of, what should organizations do? What should CISOs think through in terms of putting those specific KPIs to measure, resiliency or building a resilient program for the organization?
I think, first you should have a, cyber resilience program. You need to do there are lots of things. One thing, you need to keep on doing the simulation test, whether you are ready for the cyber resilience program or not. And that you have to do in the periodically for APT, for DDoS, or whatever the solution you have deployed. If you have not deployed also, then you need to be checked whether you are ready with your BCP program or not. Because cyber resilience is not only about the cyber security, it's a combination of the cyber security and BCP both. So your organization should be ready, and then your strength, your weakness, and accordingly then you can take a further action. Yes, we are not ready and we need to improve this and take a further action. So that is even more important, one of the point from my side.
I'd just like to add that when you invest in cybersecurity, you're not investing in securing your financial transactions only. You're investing in the brand image of your organization, because today businesses are built on reputation. It can take years and decades to establish and make your reputation. It can go up in smoke literally overnight. So if a customer is not confident and doesn't have the assurance that you will protect them, you will protect their PII, or you will protect their information, then it's a problem. Because if I can't protect my own infrastructure, then how do I protect my customer? So it's about investing in your brand as well.
Sure. Sorry.
So, when we are talking about metrics, metrics should address elements of top management, executive level, and also the operational people. Okay. So the key thing is here, so much of investment has been done, so much of expectation is there out of each element out of that investment. So that information should actually go to the respective people. So here, when I'm saying, when we are talking about cyber security, clearly right from, what is happening around the world, what is happening in our environment, to what extent we have been able to cover ourselves, are there issues, how it has got, addressed, or if we have failed, how we have actually overcome that. All those should be captured. The whole cycle of activity should get captured as metric.
Okay.
You talked about return on investment. I would like to add one point here. When you invest in technology for the customer convenience or improvement in your delivery, everything, if that has been added to your security investment also, then nobody would question your return on investment. And SBI, we will leave on that. So I don't have a separate budget. Whatever I have, it's part of the IT budget. So what I ask, I get it also. So there is no specific question of return on investment on security products, because it goes with the secured IT environment. So that is why we work. And the metrics can be, when you have a cyber SOC, it can be the number of incidents, how many you have found the root cause on, and what you have done to prevent that, how many failed attempts are there, because that is a good pointer to your security model. So how many, there are a lot of things when they scan the ports, where you have already blocked it. So how many such attempts were made and how many were blocked? So you will have a fair idea, and advisories keep coming to you saying that these ports are malicious. These IP addresses are malicious. Attackers are doing this. These ports will be scanned. So how you can block it? How fast you block it so that those traffic doesn't come to you. This can be some of the metrics. And of course, the alerts generated from your security operations center, your SIM or whatever tool you are using, and how fast it is getting tracked, and does it have any false positives? How are you able to control the false positive? These are some of the metrics which can be relied upon.
All right. I'll just switch gears and go into the law enforcement area. And Venkat, you've been involved in training of law enforcement personnel as well. What are your thoughts, one, on the topic cyber resilience, and two, how did you, when you did those trainings and knowledge sessions, how do you impart those concepts to people who have a background of security more than us, but then translate that into the cyber part of the world?
I would like to refer a quote from a famous US astronomer, Carl Sagan. He says, the more likely you assume that the solution comes from outside, the less likely we are to solve our problem ourselves. Okay. So why I'm quoting this in this session is, I get a lot of calls from many companies, MNCs, requesting for suggesting some vendors who can handle their incidents. They want to outsource the complete incident response management. They are not interested in building their own incident response team, but they want to completely outsource the incident response management to a X company by paying so much money. It's like for compliance sake, they want to outsource this. This is one thing. Another important thing what I have noticed dealing with both corporate as well as law enforcement, there's a lack of understanding of technology with respect to law enforcement. They don't understand technology. And at the same time, with respect to the IT industry or the corporate, there's a lack of understanding of law. First of all, the IT corporates who deal with the investigation or who deal with the monitoring, who deal with the cyber resilience, they need to understand the limitations also. In order to monitor a particular or in order to safeguard a financial data or customer information, you cannot insert a keylogger and capture the keystrokes. You need to have that legal understanding. So it is 50-50. Law enforcement, there is a lack of understanding with respect to technology, and at the same time, the industry, they lack with the understanding of the law. That is one thing. And secondly, any company which deals with the customer information or the financial data, they need to have their own incident response team, okay, which is not present across the industry we have seen. Okay, the team which is handling this incident, they should be equipped with both technology as well as law. They need to understand both nitty-gritties of technology and law. And also, having only incident response management team will not help in any way. You need to have the policies that will promote successful incident response management. You need to have a clear definition of the acceptable usage policy, remote access policy. So all these things need to be documented very well so that the incident response management can be successfully implemented. And finally, what I have noticed when dealing with the companies, when they come to law enforcement for reporting a case, the incident response management team, even though they are capable of handling the incidents are not necessarily the violation of law. It is only the violation of the company policies, corporate policies. But during the course of their internal investigation, when they discover that this particular incident has a merit for converting an incident into a criminal case, and when they go to the police, when police take up the investigation and when they try to gather the evidence is tampered because it is not properly handled. So, first of all, if you want to be cyber resilient, or if you want to safeguard your financial data, you need to have an incident response management team that is competent enough to handle both the technology as well as legal issues. This is my take on